For 50 years, Roane State Community College has been an integral part of East Tennessee. From its modest beginnings in 1971 until today, Roane State has provided many East Tennesseans new opportunities and pathways to success. Today, Roane State is widely considered one of the most forward-thinking community colleges in the country, and in 2020 was recognized as Tennessee's Community College of the Year. But as with most stories, success has not come easy. Roane State's story is no different. The college began with an idea, but has grown into an institution that has changed an entire region.
We had to start at the Fairmont Elementary School, and the offices were a couple of house trailers, one in front and one in back, and the students occupied all of the main part of the elementary school campus first year. Second year, we had to expand over to South Harriman Baptist Church for a lot of classes, and we worked out an arrangement with the public schools to have their buses run back and forth every class hour.
We begged churches to let us have classes until we could get buildings built. We begged for money. Anybody in the 10-county area, we were asking, can you please help? This is a good thing. Help us to do something special.
Roane State's early days were filled with excitement and enthusiasm. Flexibility and creativity were also necessary.
I don't think I ever heard in the first 10 years anybody complaining about going off campus to teach or being in a particular location or some strange environment. It was just what you did. It was just part of it. And there was an enthusiasm in those early years. It was just very inspiring.
When the decision to create Roane State was made by the state legislature, Dr. Kyler Dunbar was selected as the college's first president. His hard work and vision for what Roane State could mean to the region was the foundation of his 18-year presidency.
I remember Dr. Dunbar because the type of president he was and his vision for the college and the way he wanted us to interact with students.
He had a heart for students. And I've been in his office in the middle of a serious discussion. He would ask me to leave because a student was knocking on the door and wanted to talk to him. And that was wonderful,
Kyler Dunbar was the right man at the right time. He was a perfect fit for our first president because he was able to move the college, to raise these buildings, to raise what is now the Dunbar building, out of the ground and into a building, and to work with the community which provided the temporary facilities until we could get the permanent structures here.
Kyler Dunbar would walk through and he would say, if a vice president is in front of you and a president is standing in the doorway and there's an email from the governor and you've got a student in the chair, you take care of that student first. That student comes first.
In 1988, President Dunbar announced he would be leaving Roane State. Dr. Sherry Hoppy was named the new president. Dr. Hoppy faced a number of challenges and had to make some difficult decisions. She also brought a number of new ideas and innovations to the college while continuing the tradition of students first.
She had to be tough. She had to make some tough decisions, but she had the vision, to take all of this education out and to the communities.
We wouldn't have Zoom room technology without Sherry Hoppy. We would not be one of the schools, not just in Tennessee, but across the country, steeped in technology.
Dr. Hoppy led Roane State through a number of transitions. During her tenure, she saw the need to take education to students in their own communities and established a number of satellite campuses in counties the college served. In 1998, when Dr. Hoppy left to become president of Austin Peay University in Clarksville, Dr. Wade McCamey took over the role of president. Under Dr. McCamey's administration, Roane State's expansion continued, including campuses in Morgan, Fentress, and Campbell counties. In addition, he spearheaded a joint effort with Pellissippi State Community College to expand nursing education at the Magnolia Avenue campus in Knoxville, as well as established a partnership for elementary education with Tennessee Tech. In 2005, Dr. Gary Goff became Roane State's 4th president. Under his leadership, the Morgan County campus was completed. The Cumberland Business Incubator opened, and Roane State saw the opening of the Clinton Higher Education and Training Center. He also led an effort to partner with the city of Harriman to manage the newly renovated Princess Theater. In addition, Dr. Goff led Roane State to establish new programming in advanced manufacturing. During his tenure, Dr. Goff oversaw the tremendous growth on the Oak Ridge Branch campus. Originally designed for 1,800 students, the campus grew to 2,500 students with no room to expand. Under his leadership, a new 64,000 square foot, 3-story facility broke ground in June of 2014. The Goff Health Sciences and Technology Building provided additional classroom space for 500 students and gave Roane State the space to offer new programs in healthcare and technology. When Dr. Goff retired in 2012, Roane State selected Chris Whaley as its president, a role he still serves today. However, Dr. Whaley was no stranger to Roane State. In addition to being a Roane State graduate, he served for years as both a faculty member and dean for the college. In fact, his father, Lowell Whaley, was one of Roane State's first employees.
During basketball games, I would sell tickets and collect the money, and he would help me in theirs. He was about waist high that time.
Came over for basketball games, and what is now our food pantry was the ticket booth. So I can remember coming over there, and there was no heat, and of course it was cold. Usually in the winter, we had a little space heater, and so Dad took care of the money, and my job was to rip the tickets off.
Never thought that he would eventually go on to be president of Roane State. It's very proud.
For each president to achieve their own unique vision for Roane State, they heavily relied on specific faculty and staff taking key roles in their administrations.
One of the giants that I made reference to, Louise Green, she was on the committee that you had to talk about vision. And my office was inside her office, and so we talked about it one day. And I knew what her vision was for her role and what she'd like to see the college do.
But, there were so many that I admired and respected. Dr. Ann Mentor, who became the head of the Math Science Division. What a wonderful, bright, charming, take-no-nonsense person she was, Loved her. And then you had Carol Marsalis, who was really sort of a visionary. And Carol just had this ability to bring people together and to create some sort of a program out of nothing. It was just almost like a creation,
Some of those who were part of the college's early days, either as faculty, staff, or students, are still connected to Roane State today.
And so I started as a data entry person. Did that for a number of years, then became a admissions programmer that focused on admissions and records things. Came in as HR manager, and now I'm the director there.
I think Dad was part of the kind of original crew. I think 72 is when he started. And Mom worked kind of several different jobs before she ended up in teaching. But so essentially Roane State was a constant for me. Like as long as I was able to make conscious memories, I was coming here to come to classes with them or come to events or just hang out or, it was just a huge part of my life.
I went to Roane State, then I transferred to Tennessee Tech. I got a commission in the Army, went and served a military career in the Army, then ended up back here. It was so fortuitous because as I was ending my military career, a faculty position opened up here at Roane State. I applied for it and I was fortunate enough to be selected, and I've been here ever since.
Over the years, a number of programs and projects have come and gone, yet some have become a part of Roane State's identity. One such program is an annual trip for students to the southwestern U.S.
I thought this as a geographer that to expand these kids' horizons, maybe it would be a good thing to go someplace. And one of us said to the other one, well, why don't we take a field trip in the summertime? Eventually, we went to Kyler with the proposal, to take this field trip to the Southwest, and he had to ponder it a while because it was uncharted ground. I don't think anybody else in the state had done anything like that, certainly no community colleges.
And for me, it appealed greatly because of, again, it related directly to the courses that I taught, sociology, cultural anthropology. There were a wide variety of really remarkable archaeological sites that were available. And that's more or less how it came to pass. And our first trip was in 1977. And the first two trips that Pete and I directed, I'd say again, we probably had somewhere in the area of about 14. And then Bruce Fisher and I ended up directing it together, co-directing it for 28 years.
Another long-time Roane State initiative began in 1978 when two Roane State English professors began a humanities festival on campus. The festival eventually grew to include other areas of study and in 1991 was rebranded as Roane State's annual academic festival.
It was meant to be a way to get Roane County high school students on campus to compete and get to know one another and see what Roane State was like. It continued to grow to where we felt like there was a need to add other things other than the humanities, where we added math and science, chemistry, biology, and we have since still added other things. We've had to add computer sciences. These are competitions for high school students, grades 9 through 12. It used to be a 2-day competition. Music would be on one day because it was such a hugely popular event. And then the second day was everything else, the art, the creative writing, the dance, biology, chemistry, all of that, history bowl. And our festival grew from 200 students to, at our peak, we had 2,300 students competing from all over the counties.
Also, in keeping with the college's continuing effort to reach each community, Roane State began hosting an annual Merit Badge College for the Boy Scouts of America. 2019 marked the college's 33rd year for hosting the event.
First program was about 200 scouts, and it's grown tremendously. We have approximately 700 scouts that attend each year, earning approximately 35 different merit badges they can work on.
Since the first Roane State basketball team took to the court in 1972, athletics has played a huge role in the college's life. Early on, President Dunbar saw the value of a strong athletics program.
Nobody was as enthusiastic about Roane State athletics as Dr. Kyler Dunbar. It was his baby. Women's basketball in particular was his baby because he hired Andy Landers first of all, and Andy was really, really successful with women's basketball there.
He was just, not only did he like athletics himself, he liked supporting them. And in fact, Dr. Dunbar, I heard stories where he would be in a meeting in the afternoon. He would say, "We got to end this meeting in 10 minutes. I got an intramural softball game starting at 3 o'clock.
Administration does care about athletics, and I think that's been the case since I've coached.
Roane State's athletic tradition has always been more than just helping young people become skilled athletes. It's about having an impact that will last a lifetime.
That 3 hours in a day, I think I have a real responsibility, to make sure that they're seeing something that will hopefully, mold their personality and character in the way that their family would want it to be done, in the way that I would hope that they would grow as a person.
For me, it was a way to give back, to try to help people experience the same experience that I had, to have a good, positive experience with somebody that cared about them enough to teach them right from wrong and help them to become better in that. And I feel like I can do that in my role as a professor and as a coach, and I can do both of those.
Fostering a strong athletics program paid off for Roane State in 1984 when the Roane State Raiderettes women's basketball team put the college in the spotlight by winning the Community College National Championship.
I tell them that basketball teams are made from October to March, but basketball players are made from March until October. So they took that to heart, and they really worked on their game and worked on their skills over the summer, and Got in the weight room and built up the strength. And when we came in, I knew we were going to have a good basketball team. But we lost our first game, and then I think we won 18 or 19 in a row, something like that. Beat Shelby State in the state championship game. Went to Paducah, Kentucky. They hosted the Region 7 tournament that year. As you might expect, we won 3 or 4 straight games to win the region championship and the right to go to the Senatobia, Mississippi, which was hosting the Northwest Mississippi Junior College was hosting the national championship. I just have the utmost respect for those young ladies and what they accomplished. Every one of the 13 players, 11 of them were on the dean's list. And it was just like a dream team to be able to coach this group of young ladies.
Innovation and creativity have always been a part of Roane State's culture. Faculty and staff have been empowered to think of new ways to provide unique educational experiences for their students. In 2014, 2 Roane State professors set a new world record for the longest time living in an underwater habitat. The Classroom Under the Sea project resulted in worldwide recognition for Roane State.
The longest time anybody has lived continually in space is well over a year. But up until the time we broke the world record, the longest time anybody had ever lived underwater was 69 days. I got a phone call in my office from Jan Koblich that basically said, "Bruce, do you want to spend the time in the habitat and break the world record?" And his vision was for an educational program, but it would stretch long enough to actually break the world record.
Cantrell and his team worked for 14 months to set up the project. He and his colleague, Jessica Fain, would spend 9 weeks in the underwater habitat in order to break the world record.
And every week we would have a subject related to marine science that we would do a live broadcast. For every subject, we had some of the top people in the world volunteered their time to come down. For instance, when we did the sea and space connection, we had Buzz Aldrin come down, the second man to walk on the moon. It was just phenomenal. During that 9 weeks, we were either broadcasting on live or on the radio or on media, some type of print media, in over 60 countries. Everything in this country, from the Miami Herald to the Washington Post to the San Francisco Chronicle, to the Chicago Tribune. We were on Good Morning America, the Weather Channel of all things.
So we are now the new record holders for the longest underwater habitation.
Congratulations.
Congratulations. Here, I'll shake your hand. How about that?
I want a spontaneous high five.
Playing an active role in the community has been a hallmark for the college since its beginnings. In 2009, Roane State partnered with the city of Harriman to manage the newly renovated 90-year-old Princess Theater in the city's downtown.
Princess Theater Foundation, because of some of the resources that were brought to bear in light of the ash spill, utilized that money, the city of Harriman did, to renovate the historic Princess Theater, which again is special to me because that's where I went to see movies as a kid, and has turned that into a really, really nice performing arts venue, not only for movies, but also for plays and musicals and concerts and any number of things. So in partnership with the Princess Theater Foundation, Roane State operates the theater. We have our employees there. And so there are a number of community events, foundation events, Roane State events that are there.
And of course, we always need more things, but it's pretty good shape. The restoration was completed in 2012, and from that point forward, Roane State has provided a theater manager for the Princess.
So it's a really neat community venue, as well as, again, for the generation of us who went there to see movies. It's extra special to us to see it come back to life and be used.
For many years, Roane State has partnered with area high schools to offer dual enrollment courses. In recent years, Roane State began a program called Middle College. that allows some high school students to work on their college degree while finishing high school.
Middle college means that you're fully enrolled, a full college schedule, at least 12 academic hours, 12 credit hours with us. Usually it's 15 hours a semester, and they are enrolled full-time at the high school. So the college level classes will count for their high school classes. And at the end of 4 semesters, they will have an associate's degree about 2 weeks before they have a high school diploma.
Again, they start as juniors, come to Roane State in the morning and take classes with us for essentially the first half of the day. Return to their high schools in the afternoon. That allows them to continue to play sports and be involved in extracurricular activities, etc.
This May will make over 100 students with a middle college degree that will come through Roane State. And it will also be our very first AAS degree in mechatronics for middle college students.
Roane State has always been on the forefront of embracing new technologies. Advances in technology have allowed the college to provide opportunities never before available to students, faculty, and staff.
Students are very savvy, particularly as it relates to technology, primarily because that's the world in which they were raised.
Things have changed dramatically in how we deliver classes. It used to be one-on-one, an instructor in the front of the classroom. Now we have Zoom rooms, and I can talk to and teach someone from across the country. They can take a class on their iPhone if they want to.
So I think the changes that I've seen, the changes in technology, the ability to deliver instruction without distance being a barrier, so that you can be in a rural county and I can be here in Oak Ridge, but we can still have a classroom where it's synchronous.
Today, about 1/3 of the student body is enrolled in one of Roane State's 18 health science programs. The need to educate and certify healthcare workers has been a fundamental mission for Roane State from the beginning.
Shortly after Roane State was formed, one of the first programs that they added was the nursing program.
You literally cannot go to a hospital, to a doctor's office, to a dentist's office, without running into the folks who have gotten their academic preparedness at Roane State. And that's a huge thing, not only because we talk about aging boomer population, et cetera, but that's something that's not going to go away. As long as there are human beings, there's going to be the need for health care.
Well, Roane State has always been the healthcare college for this region. And so there's always been a need for continuing education, workforce development in the healthcare arena.
In 2014, Roane State expanded the opportunities in health science education when it opened the Goff Health Sciences and Technology Building on its Oak Ridge campus.
We had a nursing lab here, but we were able, with the Goff building, to have a new lab, new equipment, and we were able to provide more state-of-the-art facilities for our students to learn. And I think it's still true that we have the largest number of health science programs in any particular community college in the state. And so we offer a lot of different options for our students. The nature of a community college is that we serve students in our local community, and the folks that we serve in our local community remain in our local community unless they need to move.
One of the ways Roane State has found to serve both students and the community is through workforce development degree programs and certifications.
Because when a student knows they can get a job, definitely get connected to an employer as they're going through that job, then they bring them in, themselves in, or their grandparents or their aunt or uncle says, get over there to the college and get you that, So that's an example of how we work together to come up with a curriculum. What do you need? Tell us that, and we'll design the degree around that need.
Things that I've seen grow in the college, again, are these technical type programs. Again, I keep coming back to the mechatronics program, and then things like plastics and injection molding that we do at our Clinton Higher Education facility. Those are things that didn't exist a few years ago.
Partners help us develop what we offer, and that's really what a community college should be, is responsive to the community. So if you are taking cyber defense or programming or mechatronics, besides just getting a certificate from Roane State or a degree from Roane State, whether you're going on or staying, you might get your best bet, and what we're trying to build into our programs are those industry certifications that they recognize outside of a degree. It's a vast array of how can you respond, because that's what we're here to do, is to respond to developing people for this region to be good workers and talented. And so community means a lot of things to a lot of people, and I really think Roane State's lived up to what community means to a variety of people, how they define it.
Through statewide programs such as Tennessee Promise and Tennessee Reconnect, Roane State has seen an influx of a new and diverse student population. However, with new students often comes new needs.
Now, Tennessee Reconnect is wonderful because that takes care of tuition, but there are still needs, food, gas, etc. Our foundation steps in and helps meet a lot of those needs, but we're being intentional as a college in trying now. We've opened up 3 full-blown food pantries and hoping to open up more across our campuses to be able to meet those needs. If you're hungry, you can't concentrate and you can't study. You can't be a success in the classroom if you don't know when your next meal is coming.
Throughout its history, there have been many who have had an impact in the community, on campus, and in the lives of students. One such person is the late Paul Goldberg.
Paul Goldberg was one of the smartest and most politically savvy individuals I'd ever met.
He always wanted to be involved, but behind the scenes. I think he was probably one of the best negotiators, bringing parties together that might be adversaries and try to smooth that out a little bit. It just seemed like he had that knack.
Dr. Goldberg was quick to ask a question that would expose something that nobody had thought about.
If there was a new program that Roane State wanted to start, they oftentimes gave it to Paul. So to kind of work with it and get it up to speed for dealing with education, and then it would be passed off to someone else.
He was incredibly intelligent and very good at understanding that there's hard work, but leadership is a different skill. And you take care of your people, you care about them, and they'll take care of you. What an amazing person. And his legacy is still very much alive and well at Roane State.
As Roane State was preparing to celebrate its 50th year of service to East Tennessee, something unexpected happened that would change the way the college has operated since its founding. In the spring of 2020, a worldwide pandemic of the coronavirus forced all Roane State campuses to suddenly close, and classes were moved to online instruction. The following months were spent finding a new way of providing a quality education while keeping students, faculty, and staff safe and healthy.
Those student support services, they never stopped, and Roane State never closed. We just transitioned from one delivery to another delivery. And it's been remarkably rewarding to me because I've watched the folks at Roane State, and no surprise because I know their heart for students, to always find a way, whether it's the counseling, whether it's advising, whether it's our food pantries. So we found a way to, get one or two people access to the food pantries. They would get the food outside so folks could drive by and pick it up, to make sure that we were trying to not miss a beat. Because in times of crisis, student need doesn't go down, it goes up. Graduation, which is the culmination, obviously, of everything we do, the biggest celebration that we have, Going into this, our 50th anniversary, we were really excited because we were going to have some longtime Roane State folks to come back and be our speakers at these ceremonies. But it became really clear, I mean, we assumed in March, but it became really clear in April that a traditional commencement ceremony in May just was not going to happen. The graduation committee planned a really wonderful drive-through event. And we had such a great time. 2 days, folks could come whenever they wanted to, and family drove up. The graduate was the only one to really get out of the car, and they walked around and came and had their name announced, and I presented their degree or certificate to them, the cover, and then had a picture with me, and then had their individual picture, and then we would walk out into the parking lot and let the folks from the cars take pictures, and so it was just a great time. So in the midst of all this, the other really great thing that happened is that every year now the Tennessee Board of Regents has started honoring a College of the Year. And this is something that started last year, and so this year for 2020, Roane State Community College is named the Community College of the Year. What a great time for a reminder to them that yes, Roane State still and always has been, always will have students at heart in the midst of all this uncertainty to say, by the way, you are College of the Year this year. I was grateful for the timing of that as an encouragement to our folks to keep on doing what you're doing.
From its humble beginnings 50 years ago until today, Roane State Community College has become a shining example of what can be accomplished with vision, commitment, and hard work. Since those first students and faculty walked into the very first class in a temporary facility in the fall of 1971, the college has had a significant impact on East Tennessee. Embracing new technology, utilizing new methods of educational delivery, and developing a vibrant workforce have become woven into the fabric of Roane State's identity. However, what began in 1971 and continues today is Roane State's commitment to high academic standards and a personal connection to each and every student. Over the past 50 years, thousands upon thousands have walked through the doors of Roane State, looking to make a better life and a brighter future for themselves and their families. They are proof that with vision, commitment, and drive, dreams can come true.
When I think of Roane State, I think of students. And I enjoy working with students every single day, whether it's in my office, whether I go to the other campuses. I really just think that the students are why I'm here and why I enjoy it so much. And so I think that's why people stay here as long as they do.
I came to Roane State just to get back to Tennessee, but once I was in that college and experienced just really the dynamism that was there and the wonderful things that were going on early in the college's history, I just couldn't ever leave. I stayed there for the rest of my career, for 30-something years.
It's really hard to get bored at a job like this because your students are just so different from class to class and from year to year. It's never, ever feels the same.
And over the 50 years, Roane State had changed the life for so many people in so many ways. It's just incredible.
Whenever I first stepped on campus, it felt like a family. I just felt cared about, and I felt like I could go to a place where I'd be nurtured. It wasn't so overwhelmingly big that I didn't feel like I could find my place or find my way. I knew I wouldn't get lost in the shuffle.
What has brought me the greatest pleasure in life, next to my family, has been this job. I have just truly, truly enjoyed it. I guess I would, and I've told my sons, and I've told other folks who have children and their children, I've told them the same thing. I hope you're fortunate enough to have, in your adult years, a job that is as rewarding, challenging, and exciting as mine.
It's not a job when you enjoy what you do and you give back to the community. You pour into those students your heart and soul.
10 locations, 29 different high schools. We have 2 theaters, a television station, an exposition center, and a business incubator. I don't know too many other colleges. I mean, just the mass of that alone speaks volumes of how effective the college is.
And it's a testament to people like my dad and Loa Whaley and other people who fought very hard to make Roane State a great school.
It's a family here. It's like a family. There's a camaraderie here.
Tell everybody in the world it's absolutely got to be the best job to stand on that stage at commencement and get to shake people's hands, hand their diplomas to them, and congratulate them. Not only because of the academic success that they've demonstrated, but because you know that the vast majority of those students have had to overcome a number of things in their professional, personal lives to get to that place. So I don't think there's any better job in the world.